Capitalizing on potential is not an easy task to accomplish. Whether it be injuries, lack of opportunities, or just plain bad luck, there's so many factors that have to go perfectly to experience a long career in the spotlight of pro sports. But sometimes the problem lies internally and falls on the athlete themselves rather than outside factors. In the case of Austin Stroupe, it was this internal factor that limited his career to just a few short years in the sport. This factor was a much darker one than others. It was that of addiction. But how did Austin Stroupe go from nearly winning lights championships to bowing out of pro racing in only 4 years? Find out right around the corner. Growing up in the era of Ryan Villopoto, Ryan Dungey, Christophe Pourcel, Jason Lawrence, and many other talented amateurs, talent could easily have been outshined. But ever since he was in his amateur racing days, Stroupe cemented himself as a future superstar, grabbing titles dating all the way back to 1999 when he was winning races in the 7 to 9 age group. After turning pro in August of 2007 with Mitch Payton's Pro Circuit Kawasaki, Stroupe finished his first pro national in the MX Lights class, one spot off the box in 4th. He even grabbed the whole shot in his first gate drop as a professional and managed to hang on to his position without any front brake in the second moto. The future looked bright for the young Team Green Star from North Carolina. After 2 more rounds outdoors, Stroupe recorded a 10th and a 5th before injuring his clavicle in October, ending his outdoor campaign. In reality, the injury allowed Stroupe to rest up before the all-important 2008 rookie campaign of Supercross, where he would line up on the West Coast. The 2008 West Coast Lights class was stacked, to say the least. Come A1, Stroupe sat on his Kawasaki next to guys like Ryan Dungey, Zach Osborne, Jason Lawrence, and Justin Brayton. The only one missing from this series entirely was Pourcel, who had suffered a horrendous injury in August of 2008. In his first ever professional season, Stroupe got his feet under him with a 5th place finish, but had a horrible night in round 2 in Phoenix. In what was only his 2nd ever Supercross race, Stroupe already had championship expectations placed upon him, but his performance in round 2 would essentially eliminate him from contention after he failed to make the main event. In the first heat, he nearly had the whole shot before leaning the bike over too far and crashing in front of the pack. After remounting his Kawasaki, he promptly crashed again in a rhythm section, leading to a last place finish in his heat and a direct bid to the LCQ. Given the worst gate pick in the last chance qualifier, he was pushed wide and missed the first turn. He battled back but would miss the main event. By not scoring any points in a 9-race series, pretty much stick a fork in your championship goals. But Stroupe would recover after the setback with 2 podiums in the next 3 rounds, but it was these little mistakes that plagued Stroupe throughout the year. In addition to his crash at Phoenix, he got a good start in a muddy round 4, but lost a bunch of time after nearly crashing on lap 1. He was chasing Jason Lawrence and pushed a little bit too hard, leading to a loss of several positions that he was not able to recover from. In the final round of the series at Vegas, Stroupe won his West Coast heat, but come the main event, he was involved in a first turn pileup that saw him run 21st by the time his teammate Ryan Villopoto finished lap 1 as the leader. Despite these mistakes, the season wasn't all that bad as Stroupe did win in Houston, giving him his first ever victory as a professional. Even with the missed round, Stroupe managed to finish 3rd in the points, and it was a fantastic start for the rookie, even if it did have its fair share of mistakes. As the outdoor season began, he actually managed to win at Glen Helen in round 1 with moto finishes of 2-3. While Ryan Villopoto would storm to the top in the next rounds, Stroupe finished the next 3 rounds inside the top 4 in each race. Villopoto did go on a 16 moto win streak starting in round 1 and ending in round 9 at Washougal, but that's for another video. Needless to say, nobody was catching Ryan that summer, but Stroupe was still competitive. Unfortunately for Austin, his luck ran out when he crashed at Thunder Valley in Moto 1, which caused him to miss the rest of the season. With the timing of the injury, Stroupe was forced to wait until the East Coast round of lights to build off his rookie season in 2008. But again, 2009 Supercross saw Stroupe's mistakes lead the headlines instead of the race wins. In round 2, he qualified 2nd and took the whole shot. In the opening laps, he was running nearly 2 seconds a lap faster than championship leader Christophe Pourcel, who had won the first race. With 5 to go, Stroupe stalled his Kawasaki after stumbling into a deep rut, finishing a disastrous 7th place. This was an extremely painful loss because he was genuinely the fastest rider on track until this issue. Stroupe would rebound and win in Indy, but returned to his mistakes with a huge crash in Daytona, resulting in a 19th place finish. The move was never on that he went for, as he tried to pass Martin Davalos nearly off the track in Daytona, which caused a huge crash where he went down hard into a tough block, nearly ending his season had he missed it. Stroupe ran well the rest of the season, winning for a second time in round 5 and ending the year with 5 podiums. But in the end, it was this massive mistake in Daytona that ended his championship bid before it got started. In addition to this error, Pourcel outran the North Carolina native straight up, finishing with 5 wins on his way to the championship. Even if Stroupe hadn't crashed at Daytona, it's unlikely he wins the championship. But the 2009 outdoor season showed the exact same problems that Stroupe had been making. He only ran 7 races, missing 6 rounds after a huge crash at Hangtown in the second race of the series. But for the entire season, Stroupe struggled to find his bearings, as his best overall finish was at Budds Creek, and it was only 5th place. After 2009, his time with Team Green was up, and he moved over to Suzuki for 2010 East Coast Lights Racing. But when Suzuki's 450 rider Matt Moss was injured prior to round 1 in Anaheim, the young prodigy was given a chance in the Premier class. While he did pick up a 7th place finish in round 2, he finished just 20th in round 1 and 17th in round 3. Upon his return to the East Coast Lights class, Stroupe landed 5 out of 6 rounds in 2nd place, but he didn't grab any wins. With only 8 points separating him and former teammate Pourcel, Stroupe needed a good weekend in Houston for round 7 to close the gap to the championship leader. But as fate would have it, the sight of his first win would result in a big crash in practice, lead to a serious shoulder injury, and the loss of the title. With this setback, Austin Stroupe was never the same. He made 10 starts in the 450 class the following year with Valley Motorsports Rockstar Yamaha, but didn't see anything close to a podium. While he was on the gate for the beginning of 2012, he didn't make a single main event despite having speed in qualifying. After a crash in practice preparing for Dallas, his time as the future prodigy that Mitch Payton had identified years ago was gone. He would not return to Supercross or motocross. But why was this? This era was known for moto guys to be the bad boys of the industry. For Stroupe, his actions eventually led him down a dark path that he is still recovering from today. For the sake of this video, we'll keep it relatively light. But here's what happened. Due to injuries sustained during racing, Stroupe had become addicted to painkillers given to him after his surgeries. Ironically, the sport that had brought him so much life at a young age was the very thing that brought him so much pain and suffering in the long run. The issue started in 2010, and the short version of the story is that things got very out of hand very quickly. In the span of 2 years, Stroupe's entire life began to revolve around his addiction to opioids, which led into other drugs. He had lost his way and he didn't even seem to care, a telltale sign of addiction. This impacted his results, as by the time he called it quits, he was fully involved in his party lifestyle, fueling his addiction. While he did make a comeback to Arena Cross in 2016 while sober, addiction once again got the best of him. The comeback ended just as soon as it started, and in a truly heartbreaking turn, Stroupe returned to his old habits. In 2016, Stroupe was arrested with a long list of crimes to include drug possession, drug paraphernalia, and a few other charges for good measure. Following a brief stay in jail, Stroupe was out on bond, but his racing career had already seen the final nail be driven into the coffin. He has not raced professionally since. This tale of Austin Stroupe is not one to be taken lightly. What happened to this young and talented rider was an absolute tragedy, but one that could have been easily avoided. In this case, Stroupe hid his problem rather than share it before the issue got out of control. Along the way, he did make bad decisions that contributed to this, but I do believe that it was avoidable. His case serves as a cautionary tale that the dangers of addiction can have on a promising young life. Because of these horrible events, his career was limited to a flash in the pan, but worse than that, his entire life has been negatively affected from his actions. But finally, I want to wish Austin Stroupe the best going forward. While I do not think we'll see him on a track again, a life free of addiction would be a phenomenal change for the once promising young talent. There is more to life than just dirt bikes. Thank you guys so much, and let me know down in the comments what you remember from Stroupe on track and the speed that he had. Thank you guys as always, and we will see y'all in the next video.